Thank you, Marvin. I said my last two reports were very interesting. I think this one probably is a bit more, and there's been a bit of heat, but not much light just on this in terms of the in the social media world. And I have to say that we were concerned as a council when we found out that Caradon had purchased this site. In fact, just before they purchased it, we tried to buy it ourselves, as it's right next door to the Hartcliffe campus development and across the road from the Hengrove development. And actually, we would have probably wanted not just to do housing, but also to preserve some employment on this site, which is very important for South Bristol. And it's always great reading stuff on Twitter, because you sometimes think, oh, I must never read the news or watch any programs or know anything that's going on in the world unless somebody on Twitter tells me that it's happened. We were aware of Caradon's track record in Croydon and Harlow, and as I say, we've had concerns, and we've been talking to them for some time to look at how we can mitigate some of those issues before the COVID crisis actually arose. And I think what we've done is try to make sure that we've learned from the experience elsewhere, and from the sort of the issues around permitted development and homelessness, and we've actually acted on it. So what I want to do is, rather than present the report, what I want to do is present what would have happened if we hadn't been involved, and if we weren't taking this action now, sort of counterfactual. So firstly, if we didn't get involved, the flats would still be there and they would still be occupied. And to be honest, they'd probably be occupied by homeless people from London. But there would be no rent control. There would be fewer communal facilities. There'd be no support workers going in. There'd be no community development workers going in. There'd be no welfare advice service people going in. There'd be no restrictions on the occupation. We've put restrictions, for instance, on size of households going into properties, age of children going into properties, so that they're not over-occupied. We'd also see quite a large number of homeless people in Bristol either returning to the streets, or we would be stumping up huge amounts of money, hundreds of thousands a month, to pay for hotel bills to keep people in their homes. Whereas what this allows us to do is to pass the cost of housing these people onto the housing benefit system in central government. I did read one article which suggested this was going to create some sort of huge cost for the council. Actually, what it does is a huge saving on what we're doing now. I guess the person who wrote that may have some investment in the hotel industry within the city. So what this is about, what we're doing here is yes, it's about ensuring that people do not return to the street, that we provide homes for the homeless, and at some scale from the housing stock that is existing at the moment, and that we do that in a way that ensures that there's good quality management, that the nomination agreements are well managed, that the social mix within the project works well, that people with very high support needs are not housed there. None of those things we could do if we weren't directly involved. And on the basis of that, on the basis of us a very low cost managing to find housing for a large number of people in hotels and other forms of temporary accommodation, far inferior to what we're proposing here, I would recommend this report and this action to the council and the cabinet.
Thanks very much, Paul. So we've had one question, and that is again from Councillor Clive Stevens. We just admit Clive back into the meeting. Clive, we've got you. You got your question.
Thank you. Hi. I think this is going to be Councillor Paul Smith's last ever cabinet question. So, an honour for me.
How appropriate is from you, Clive?
I'll make it, well, I can't make it that difficult. So I've been checking up on Caridon, and their website says that this is a new business model. The way I understand it is that the council's the landlord and Caridon is then the main tenant and sublet to the residents there. That may or may not be the case, but that's how it seems to work. And so my question was about being able to scrutinise openly the subtenant complaints and whether there are penalty clauses within the contract.
Okay, so Clive, usually you're incredibly astute, but you've got a bit mixed up on this one. They are the landlord, and the people moving in there are the tenants. We've got no land interest in the property. As I say, it's unfortunate. We did try and purchase it, but the people we tried to purchase it from had already sold it. So that we haven't got a landlord-tenant relationship here. The contract is still being devised and obviously can't be agreed unless Cabinet agree this decision today. But what's built into the arrangement with them is that complaints and compliments are reported back to us so that we're aware, and we will also have people working in the building talking directly with the residents, so we'll get feedback in that way. So that's the way it will work. So although the arrangement's different to how you suggested, I guess the end result is, yes, we will know if there are issues and complaints, and if there are issues about the way that they as the landlord are managing the property, we do have the ability to raise those issues with them.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have any supplementaries. So
I'm really sad.
Good luck with the rest of your career, Paul.
Thank you, Clive.
Thanks very much, Clive, for that item. So we've had no other questions on this one. So I'm going to take it to Cabinet. I think, Helen, you have a comment on this one?
Yeah, thanks very much, Marvin. And I think that, you know, the reassurances that Paul has given about the management of the flats in Parkview, I'm sure lots of people will carry on calling it that, but at Imperial, will reassure people. But I just wanted to flag up, and maybe this has already happened, but I'm not aware of it, is that I do think that a lot of the residents will gravitate towards Hartcliffe for shopping services and so on. And so just to confirm that HWCP, the community partnership, they want to hear from people, and they want to be able to help if they can in any way. So just to encourage your people, Paul, to make contact with HWCP so that can be done, so that they can head off any particular problems and also get that message out about the support that the residents there will be receiving.
Thanks, Helen. Any other Cabinet comments on this item? Okay, well, let me, Paul, taking it into account, let me hand back to you now to take the decision, which I support and is now being displayed on the screen.
Okay, thank you, Marvin, and Helen, thank you. That's really helpful, and I will definitely pass that on. So, in terms of the decision, decisions being made today, I take into consideration the equalities impact assessment in the report. In terms of the decision to be made, I approve the recommendations as set out in the report.
Thanks very much, Paul.